Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most isolated and mysterious countries in the world, North Korea, and exploring the reasons why Indians are not welcome there. While North Korea is known for its strict policies and tightly controlled environment, the situation becomes even more challenging for Indian citizens. From political tensions and limited diplomatic ties to extreme restrictions on travel and movement, there are several factors that make this country unwelcoming for Indians. In this video, we'll uncover the key reasons behind these barriers and explain why North Korea remains one of the least accessible destinations for Indian travelers. Stay tuned to learn more about the unique challenges and complexities of this closed-off nation. 1. Extremely strict entry policies. North Korea has one of the strictest visa policies in the world, severely limiting access to foreign nationals. The government tightly controls all aspects of who can enter the country and for what purpose. Visas are primarily granted for diplomatic, humanitarian, or officially sanctioned purposes, and even these approvals are rare and involve significant bureaucratic hurdles. Tourism is highly restricted, and travelers must be part of organized tours conducted by government-approved agencies. Indians, like most foreign nationals, are subjected to intense scrutiny during the visa process, and approvals are typically denied unless there's a specific official reason. Independent travel is outright banned, which makes the country even less appealing to Indian travelers, who typically value freedom of movement and exploration. These restrictive entry policies act as a significant barrier for Indians attempting to visit North Korea. Number 2. Limited diplomatic relations with India. Although India and North Korea have had formal diplomatic ties since 1973, the relationship has been marked by mutual disinterest and occasional strain. India has expressed serious concerns about North Korea's nuclear weapons program and ballistic missile testing, often voting in favor of international sanctions imposed by the United Nations. This stance has contributed to strained relations between the two countries. Moreover, India's growing alignment with Western nations, particularly in supporting global security measures, has further distanced it from North Korea. As a result, North Korea sees little incentive to foster strong ties with India or make its territory accessible to Indian citizens. This lack of diplomatic warmth directly impacts the willingness of the North Korean government to welcome Indian visitors, whether for tourism or other purposes. 3. Tightly controlled movement of foreigners. Even if Indians are granted entry into North Korea, their movements within the country are strictly controlled. Foreign visitors are always accompanied by government-assigned guides who monitor their activities and prevent them from interacting freely with locals or exploring areas not approved by the regime. Visitors are only allowed to see curated locations that showcase the government's propaganda, and any deviation from the approved itinerary can result in severe consequences. This level of control undermines the purpose of travel, making the experience unappealing to most Indians who value the freedom to explore and engage authentically with different cultures. The constant surveillance and lack of personal freedom make North Korea an undesirable and unwelcoming destination for Indian travelers. Number 4. Sanctions and global isolation. North Korea faces extensive international sanctions due to its ongoing nuclear activities and human rights violations. These sanctions, supported by countries like India, have further isolated North Korea from the global community. This isolation extends to tourism and trade, as there is little incentive or infrastructure to support international visitors. For Indian citizens, this means a lack of direct travel routes, limited communication with the outside world, and almost no opportunities for cultural or economic exchanges. The sanctions also make it difficult for Indian businesses to establish ties in North Korea, further reducing the country's relevance as a destination. The economic and political isolation caused by these sanctions contributes to North Korea's unwelcoming stance toward Indians and other foreigners. Number 5. Distrust of foreign nationals. North Korea's authoritarian regime is characterized by its deep suspicion of foreigners, whom it often views as potential threats to its internal stability. This distrust extends to Indians, despite their relatively neutral global image. The regime fears espionage, foreign influence, and the spread of ideas that might challenge its propaganda-driven narrative. Indian travelers, especially those aligned with democratic values, are seen as outsiders who might disrupt the regime's carefully controlled environment. As a result, North Korea prefers to limit foreign interactions to an absolute minimum, reinforcing its unwelcoming stance toward Indians and most other nationalities. 6. Limited opportunities for travel. Even if Indians manage to gain entry into North Korea, the country offers very little in terms of travel opportunities. Its tourism infrastructure is minimal and heavily focused on showcasing propaganda sites, such as monuments dedicated to its leaders, government buildings, and controlled performances. There are no opportunities for authentic cultural exchange, exploration of local lifestyles, or engaging with the population in any meaningful way. For Indian travelers who often seek vibrant cultural experiences, diverse cuisines, and interactive exploration, North Korea's restrictive and curated offerings hold little appeal. This lack of genuine opportunities further adds to the perception that Indians are not welcome or encouraged to visit. Conclusion: Indians are not welcome in North Korea due to a combination of strict entry policies, limited diplomatic relations, tightly controlled movement of foreigners, global sanctions, distrust of outsiders, and limited travel opportunities. The country's authoritarian regime and isolationist policies make it one of the least accessible and least appealing destinations for Indian citizens. While North Korea's restrictions apply to most foreigners, the added complications arising from India's political stance and alignment with global norms further exacerbate the challenges for Indians. Consequently, North Korea remains an unwelcoming destination where Indians are not only unwelcome, but also unlikely to find any meaningful reason to visit.